Hey guys, my name is Chris Fuller with Pioneer RESA. I'm the Director of Instructional Technology, and I want to show off some accessibility features today that you can use with your students, both on their Chromebook or on their iPad. The first thing I need you to do is head over to jchrisfuller.me. That's going to bring you to our instructional technology page, and across the top you can see it says Contact Chris. You can use that button to email me directly and get those questions straight to me. So if you see something that you think I missed or need more clarification on, feel free, hit that contact button and let me know what questions you have, and I'll be happy to answer those for you. The next thing as we move across the top is a button to sign up for my weekly newsletter. So every Tuesday I send out a couple EdTech tips, a couple little extensions and applications and techniques you can try with your students to engage them more, to support them more, and to help them enjoy learning a little bit more every single day. And then the final button on the top is the Follow Chris. That's going to take you to the Pioneer RESA Instructional Technology page, and you can click follow right there. So if you don't want to sign up for the newsletter, you don't want anything else in your inbox, you can get all the same content on Facebook in your feed. So we can push it to your inbox or to your feed. You pick what works best for you, and let's keep in contact and keep students engaged and having fun in your classroom. As you scroll down, you're going to see my calendar. So today, if you think you need a little bit more of assistance to get this set up, or you want me to come talk to a larger group of teachers or do some one-on-one work with another teacher, check out my calendar, find a date that's free for you and free for me, let me know, we'll book it. I'll come hang out with your teachers or your students and get them set up on some of this great technology we're going to look at today. Keep scrolling down to the bottom, and we're going to hit that professional learning button, and it's going to load up our professional learning page right here. Find the assistive technology training button and click that, and that's going to bring you to our guiding document today. So we're going to live off of this document for the majority of today. We'll navigate away to some links and things like that, but all the links live right here on this document. So if you've got this document, you've got my email address, my office, and my cell phone number. So contact me at any time if I can be of service to you. But we're going to go ahead and get started talking about the Read and Write extension for you and your students. The first thing I want you to do is click Install Extension. That's going to open up the Chrome Web Store for you, and you're going to click Install Extension. So go ahead and install that, and then meet me back at our guiding document. The second thing I need you to do is click Free for Teachers. This is going to take you to the Text Help website. They own Read and Write, and I want you to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and I want you to fill out the form right here so you get access to all of the premium features we're going to talk about today. This isn't a trial period, it's for the whole life of the extension. You're going to get these premium features. So I need you to go ahead and sign up right now. Fill that out so you'll have access to these features as we talk about them today. You'll get to click around all those today, you'll get to use those today, and you're going to be more familiar with this extension so you can help support your students that are using it. So let's go ahead and get started. Open up a Google Doc, just docs.new, and it's going to open up a brand new Google Doc, nothing on it, and then we're going to explore what the Read and Write extension can do for you and your students. In the top right hand corner, let's find that purple RW puzzle piece. If you don't see it, slide over to the outline puzzle piece. That's where we see all of our extensions. Find it, and let's put the blue push pin next to it. Go ahead and click that to turn it blue. And now that Read and Write extension is going to live out on the bar, and it won't be hidden. So now that you've found it, go ahead and click it one time, and you're going to see a bar pop up at the top of that Google Doc. If you don't see the bar pop up, refresh the page and try one more time. As we move across the top, we already know that Google Docs spell checks everything for us and grammar checks, but we're going to have a built-in spell checker right here in Read and Write as well. So let's give it a try. Let's hit check it, and I've got purple underlines now underneath my misspelled words. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn off check it. It's also helpful if your school has maybe disabled the built-in spell check in Google Docs because they want you to be able to evaluate like what vocabulary your students are developing, how accurate they are. So maybe your district has turned off spell check, but maybe some of your students need that as an accommodation. So now that's built in, we can turn it on and turn it off as needed for our students. All right, let's get rid of that. And we'll keep going down the line. Some of you may be familiar with this little thought bubble that's popping up. It looks like the co-writer symbol. So let's go ahead and click that. And just like co-writer, it looks very similar, doesn't it? It's because TextHelp just purchased co-writer last year. So now they're all under the same TextHelp umbrella. Co-writer is predictive text. Very similar to when you're typing on your phone and you have predictive text on your phone pops up, you get 3 words and you can kind of choose those. But this one is really exciting because we can tailor it and have it read the word back to the student, have it read the entire sentence back to the student, and really customize the whole look and layout of what it is. So here's how it works. So students can type like normal. I can click to add the word, or I can type the number to get the word. So our students can tap the number, click the page, or just use it to kind of help guide them as they type. So on their level, it's going to stay right there with them. Let's look and see what some other buttons do. We can get rid of the numbers on the side. So maybe those are too distracting or our students don't need it. Maybe they're going to click more than they are pushing the numbers in. Let's click right here. Maybe we're writing about Native Americans. So if I search that and turn that on, it's going to push Native American vocabulary into the predictive text for my students. Let's give it a try. So it's going to push all of that vocabulary in there for our students to help them have that support as they're writing about content-specific things. Moving on across the line, we're going to have a dictionary. So this is going to be really helpful because Read and Write isn't just for Google Docs. So head over to our guiding document and click and open one of our practice articles. So let's go to this one about the Olympics. If you don't see your Read and Write bar, go ahead and click the Read and Write extension button to open up that bar, and we'll continue across the top. So we have a dictionary button. If I turn that on and I click a word, it's going to open up the word and the definition for me, but it's also going to read it for me.
Village. Noun. A mainly residential district of Manhattan, the village became a home for many writers and artists in the 20th century.
So that's going to be super helpful for your students. So this lives across anything they access on the internet. Any website they go to, they'll be able to open Read and Write and have these dictionary supports built in, and it works in real time. So we still have access to all these tools, and it's just going to live there. We can keep it open for as long as we're doing some reading. We're reading this article, and then when we're done, we can hit the X to close it. Right next door, we have a picture dictionary. So we can go ahead and open that up too. I'm going to move it out of the way of the article that I'm reading. And here's one, boxing. So now we have a picture of boxing. We know this is a sport now. We've got the guys with the gloves, and it's going to pronounce it for us.
Boxing.
So in real time, it's giving us the pictures, and it's going to pronounce the word for us.
Athletes.
So when we're done reading our article, we can click that X or click the image symbol to turn on and off picture dictionary and dictionary. You can even customize it and have them both on the screen at the same time. So this is a tool that's great for those students that need just a little bit of support. We're acquiring new vocabulary. We want you to use that new vocabulary. So I want you to hear it so you can say the word, you can pronounce the word, and then have some context, have that image in there with it. So let's go ahead and close those by clicking on the toolbar. And now here's what most of our students are going to use Read and Write for: a screen reader. One of the best screen readers you can get, and your students can get it for free from the state of Georgia Tools for Life. Students are going to highlight the sentence. If you don't highlight, it's going to start reading at the top of the page. So I want to go ahead and get down to the body, and then I'm going to hit play. So I went ahead and highlighted a section here and hit play.
Signing on to host the Olympics is a big investment in both infrastructure and money. The 2012 and 2014.
We can pause or we can stop all together. And you'll notice that as it reads, the sentence is highlighted along with the word that is being spoken. So students can track along easily with the read aloud accommodation here as the screen reader goes through. So I'm going to hit stop and we'll continue across the top. Screenshot reader. You have a teacher, definitely not you, that gives a PDF to a student, and so now you're going to have to pull a co-teacher, you're going to have to pull a para, somebody to help that student navigate and read that PDF because the screen readers won't work, right? Well, go ahead, back over to our guiding document and find that practice PDF and open it up. So here's our PDF right here. We can use the screenshot reader. When you click that, if you haven't already, you're going to be prompted to install the screenshot reader extension. I went ahead and added it right here for you to get there quickly. Here's how it works for your students. They're going to click on the screenshot reader, and now they have a little crosshair that they can drag a box around the words that they want to see. Red, that means bad, right? Red's no. Red's stop, that's not right. When we get purple, that means it's something that our computer is going to recognize. Read and Write's going to recognize. I'm going to release my mouse button now.
Appalachian Plateau.
And now it's read that to me. Let's try some more.
Cloudland Canyon.
So there we go. Students can work through a PDF now and just circle the words they need help hearing and reading. But this is kind of cool as well. So let me go up here. You've got a PDF and you need to pull some text off of it. So you're going to hit Screenshot Reader.
Invite students to explore.
And we don't need the screen reader portion, but look right over here. There's a copy button. I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to go back into my blank Google Doc, paste, and now I have all of that text off of that document. So that's one way that you can use it to help you when maybe you don't even need a screen reader. You just need to grab some text off of a document that you're using. Let's go ahead and continue across the top. Maybe your co-teacher or your para is out sick, but you have an assessment today and students are supposed to be reading an article and then responding to that article. They're going to read a passage and then respond to that. Let's use this water cycle article right here. I'm going to turn on my Read and Write extension. If it doesn't turn on, remember, we just refresh the page or we just wait a minute. Sometimes it's a little slow. We're going to use the audio maker. It's the little document with headphones on there. So I'm going to select my reading passage, click audio maker, and now I have an MP3 recording, an audio recording that I can put in Google Classroom, Google Drive, Schoology, Canvas, all those different LMSs, and now my students can have that read aloud accommodation. They're just going to put on headphones and then they can listen at their own pace. So here's how good it sounds.
Pour yourself a glass of water and take a sip. Did you know that the water you've just swallowed is the same water that woolly mammoths, King Tutankhamun, and the first humans drank?
So now you have an MP3 file. So a student doesn't even need the extension for this part of the accommodation to be able to use this. That MP3 file can play on their iPad or it can play on their Chromebook. Let's continue to move across the top. The next one is web search. So I'm probably going to turn this off for 99% of my students. So I can highlight evaporation and then I click on web search and it's going to open up a web search about evaporation for me. So I can find more details about the water cycle and about evaporation. Again, I'm probably going to turn that off for most of my students because I don't need them going out to the unfiltered internet. I want them to stay with documents that I've vetted, that I've approved, that I know are strong and on their level. So I'm probably going to turn that one off, and I'll show you how to do that in just a little bit. Let's continue to move across the top. Now we have our marker that now instead of students running their finger across a screen or a paper pointer that we made for them, and we have to make one every morning because they lose it, now they have a built-in marker, and it's just going to track with their mouse up and down the screen. So let's tailor this a little more because our text is kind of small and my marker is kind of big. So let's click the gear, and now we're going to change the height. That looks pretty good right there at 65. I'm going to close my menu, and now this is going to help me mark my page, help my eyes track and trace. We'll look at how to tailor that a little bit more when we dive into the settings. To turn off the screen masking tool, just click it in the top bar. And now we have a dictation tool built in right here. So let's hop back over to our Google Doc that we've got empty, go to Align, and then we're going to turn on our talk and type. So now talk and type is going to listen to me, read and write is listening, and they're putting every word that I say into this Google Doc for that student. So if the keyboard is a barrier to that student and they struggle with typing, and you're asking them to type a response, then are we evaluating their typing skills or their actual comprehension of the passage and how they're responding? We're probably evaluating some of their keyboarding skills because they're going to have a difficult time putting their words into the document. So we can use text to speech just like this built in to the Read and Write extension, and it's going to put everything down onto the page for us. Now you'll notice there's no punctuation, exclamation mark. So we'll need to work with students on how to insert punctuation like periods and comma as they work through with this tool. So let's turn off talk and type and continue our tour across the top. So next we have a translation tool built in. If you're going to translate a whole document, then you can just go into your tools and translate right here the whole document on a Google Doc. What this translate tool in Read and Write is really good for is, again, if we are on an article, and let's open up our translation tool. I'm going to move it over to the left so it stays out of my way. If I double click on a word or highlight a word, it's going to translate it. It's going to tell me in English,
Gas.
in Spanish,
Gasolina.
and we can set all that up in settings to be tailored for your students in there. So we want them to be able to hear their native language next to English so we can associate those words and begin to build those language skills. So if I have an English language learner, we can turn this on and it's just going to live at the top of their screen as they go through, and as they need more support, they can highlight a word and that support's there for them right in the top left-hand corner to be able to hear the word in English,
Water.
and Spanish.
Agua.
When we're done with the translation tool, we can turn it off and have it go away just like that. So we said for teachers, some of the must-haves are going to be that screenshot reader to grab text out of a PDF and put it into a document for us. We said that audio maker where we can just get a read aloud just like that. Highlight the text, click audio maker, and it's going to download an MP3 that can be listened to on any device to support students. But this is my number one right here. Let's grab the highlighters and let's mark up this water cycle article. So you're just about to start discussing water cycle with your fourth graders. They have very little background, and so we want to give them a vocabulary page to help them associate and learn this new vocabulary. So let's go in here and let's start with some of the big ones. All right, they need to know about evaporation. So let's highlight with the mouse evaporation and click our yellow highlighter. All right, vapor, that's an important word. And you can pick any color you want. You have the option to download just green, just blue, just pink. I'm just going to make everything yellow just for ease today, I'm going to grab transportation, I'm going to grab condensation, precipitation, and collection. With read and write, you just collected all the vocabulary words, so head on over and click the vocabulary list. It looks like bullet points. Let's click that, and it's going to say which ones do you want, and we're just going to say all of them. And then we wait just a few seconds, and a new tab is going to open with a Google Doc in it, and every word is going to be listed on the left along with the definition, along with the symbols in there and the notes. So we've got evaporation, condensation, precipitation, transportation, and vapor in there. Here's another really cool one right here. I'm going to hop back into my read and write demo. So this is voice notes. Now what we're going to do is give them some feedback, and you could do that normally in a Google Doc just by highlighting and clicking the comment button right here. This is so much better for those students that maybe struggle to read, or maybe you just want to give feedback quicker. So check this out. Highlight wherever you want the comment to go, click voice note. You now have 60 seconds to record feedback for that student, and it's going to put it in a note tagged to where that comment has context and what they're doing. So if they need to work on grammar, or if they've misspelled something, or they use vocabulary incorrectly, we give them that feedback right there. I hit stop. I can listen back to it. 60 seconds to record feedback for that. Or I can hit comment. It's going to give them a link, and because Read and Write recognizes that as a voice note, now it turns into a play button, so students have a play button available to hit and listen to your feedback. 60 seconds to record feedback for that student. Now when I go down and I find another place where I want to leave a comment, I click again and I get another 60 seconds. So if you run out of time, you can start a new note and have a part 2 in there. So this is one of the great features. Students do need the Read and Write extension to have the play button. Students can also practice reading aloud. So let's head over to an article and let's open up our Read and Write extension. Remember, if it doesn't pop up, hit the refresh button, and now we can practice reading aloud. So now, distraction free, I can hit record. The National Aquatic Center is where Michael Phelps earned his 8 gold medals during the 2008 Beijing Olympics. We can listen back. The National Aquatic Center is where Michael Phelps earned his 8 gold medals. And then if we're happy with that, or you need to collect that for some record keeping, we can hit send to teacher. It's going to save that audio into Google Drive, and now I can just put my teacher's email address right in there and send it to that teacher for documentation. I can also grab a link for it in there as well and drop that into a doc, into Google Classroom as a comment to be able to share that back with somebody. You'll notice in this view we still have access to a lot of our tools, our screen readers, our markers, so supports are still built in to help those students as they practice their reading fluency. You'll notice we got a couple other options when we're not on a Google Doc. So just moving across the top, now we can click Simplify Page. So the Simplify Page is going to begin to strip away links, distractions, images. So let's keep clicking through there. We can simplify the page for our students. I like this as well because we can change how the text looks for our students. So if they find that yellow and blue is easier on their eyes to read or helps them link the words together and follow along, we can do that right there. We can also change the font size in here as well as the type of text in there. So they do have an open dyslexic font to be able to support those students with an ordering disability as they move through the article. And still at the top, all of our Translate, our screen reader, our dictionary are all still available at the top. And finally, we can Rewordify. So if you've used Rewordify before, it's right here in the Read and Write extension for your students. Let's click that. And every word that's been italicized is the word that has been changed for the students. So as we click that on and off, Various turns to different. Repurposing changes to redoing. So it's simplifying vocabulary in there to help our students make those connections without losing lots of context to the article that they're reading. So we made it through the entire top bar, and you've seen little snippets of what everything can do. Let's talk about how do we customize this for our students so they get the best support without the distractions. So let's hop over and click our three dots for settings. And I want to start at the very top. So we can set up different profiles for different classes. So maybe some of these tools are needed in your ELA class, and some are needed in science or math or social studies. We can set up a profile just for those classes, and it's as easy as 2 clicks to open settings and change your profile right here to pick the one that supports you in that class. So let's go ahead and create one for ELA right now and hit OK. So everything that we change right now is for a student that's going to use this for support in ELA. Let's go down to General. We can help students customize where they want the bar. I'm just going to leave it at the top. I'm not worried about if we want a light or dark theme. So that's up to you and your students how you set that up. That's visual appearance and not as much functionality. Let's head down to speech. So if my student's going to use a screen reader, I want to make sure that they can actually hear and comprehend the words that are going in. I don't want it to be so fast that the student's missing the context and all the clues in there to be able to build comprehension. So I'm going to start right here and maybe move my slider to the left and tailor that speed for that specific student. There is not a one-size-fits-all for this right here. This is maybe you sitting down at a center with that student and helping them tailor this speed for them. Depending on their age and their technology comfort, you may want to turn the computer towards you as you go into the settings menu and not even let them know it exists. So we've dialed in our speed. I'm going to leave continuous reading there. It can stop at every single sentence if that's what you want. And do we speak on each word or on each sentence as we go through there. So again, translation, and then at the top I did skip this because we can get lost in there. So if they prefer a male voice over a female voice, they can change it right there. Again, maybe one of those settings that you want to do without the student looking at what you're changing, so they don't get in there and start playing and then go and change all of our settings a little bit later after they're done. So let's head on down the left column to prediction right here. So how many words do you want predicted? That's what the first one is. How many results? Follow the cursor, predict ahead. So it can start looking ahead and predicting what you're going to do. So that's what we're having it do, kind of say, hey, I think these group of words might fit the sentence that you're moving towards. That's what that's for. So if your student's going to use headphones, and I would highly recommend if you start turning on a lot of these, hey, read after they finish the sentence or read the passage aloud, they're going to need some headphones so it's not disruptive to the rest of the class. So read prediction suggestions on hover. That means if I put my mouse over that tab that pops up, if we have read prediction suggestions on hover turned on, then as that box pops up with different suggestions and the student puts their mouse over it, it's going to read that aloud. That might be a little much for them. So depending on their ability and their needs, we can turn that on and off. Flexible spelling, I like that one a lot. I use that when I'm trying to spell restaurant, right? So flexible spelling, we're going to keep that on. And then predict from page. So it's going to look at the content on the page, what you're writing about, any kind of passage that you've pasted in there for the students, and then direct and push vocabulary with those key terms in there. So we're going to leave that on. And then we definitely don't want the old version of this. We want the new stuff. So we're going to leave that off. And then finally, we can change the size of the predicted text that's in the drop down for our students. So depending on their needs, that's all tailorable to them. And that's why we're going through this, so you see where it is in the menu and you can click around. And that's why I want you to have this extension so you're familiar with it, you've used it before, and you know where the buttons are, so we can guide those students for the support that they need. Let's head down to check it. We're just going to leave that right there. We can again have it read if we hover our mouse. I'm going to leave that off. That sounds like it could get a little chaotic, and when I've used any kind of the mouse hover to read, it gets a little chaotic, especially when you have a page full of text. There's nowhere to put the mouse to make the computer stop reading aloud to you. So I'm going to leave that off. Screen masking, we checked that out already. So here's my screen mask right here. This is important that you are familiar with this menu, because I guarantee your student is going to turn theirs all the way black, and then they're going to make it tiny, and then now we can't see any of our menus anymore and we're lost. So you need to be familiar with this menu so that you can help students get this where they need it to be. If you have a student that walks up to you like that, we're going to click the little mask to turn it back off, and then we're going to go open up our line width and turn down our opacity again, and then we'll be right back on track. There we go. That's much more useful and not all blacked out. So we got there by hitting that mask icon right there to turn it off, get into our settings, and change it back so it supports our students the best way possible. Heading on down to talk and type. So this is cool. It's using Google voice typing, and we're going to look at your Chromebook here in a second, and I'm going to show you we don't even need Read and Write for Google voice typing. So if that's all your student needs, then we're not even going to install the extension for them. All right, heading on down, Rewordify. You've got three choices, minimum, maximum, and then just the default. So again, depending on your student's needs, you can slide that around and dial that in for them. Here's our language right here. The language that we're going to see as our primary language is the top one, and then the features, if we change that, that's the little blurb that's going to pop up to tell us about our different features. That's the language it's going to be in. So I'm going to leave both those English, because if I change them, I'm not sure that I can get back to where I need to be. Here's features. So this is the one you've all been waiting for right here. So this is an ELA profile. Remember, we set up our profile for ELA. So I want my students to use Check It, because my district turned off spell check, and I want my student to use spell check for now for support. I want prediction on, because they have that accommodation for co-writer written into their IEP, so we're going to leave it on. I do not want hover speech, because that gets a little chaotic. I will leave on the dictionary, but not the picture dictionary. I don't want them just looking at icons and pictures all the time, so I'm going to turn that one off. But they will need the play, pause, stop button for that screen reader help. And then I'm going to use screenshot reader. I'm going to leave that on just in case they get a PDF. They don't need to make audio, so I'm going to turn audio off. I don't want them searching the web. I'm going to leave the masking tool on for them to help. We are working on typing, so that is a goal with the student that I'm setting it up for. So I'm going to turn off talk and type, because I want the student to work on typing. They have the predictive text already, so that's going to help. They already speak English. They don't have a second language. We're turning off Translator. We don't need that. They don't need the highlighters right now, so I'm going to turn all my highlighting tools off. And I left the dictionary on, and I'm sending some specific leveled text to them. So I'm going to turn off simplify page. I'm going to turn off Rewordify. I'm going to turn off voice notes and practice reading aloud. And so now look at my bar at the top just for ELA. Here's the tools that we need for ELA right there across the top. And so when my student goes back in here, let's refresh the page, and they're working in Google Docs. They just read a passage, and now it's their time to respond. They have some typing tools to help them with grammar, punctuation, and spelling. They have a dictionary to help them with vocabulary as they read, play pause button for vocabulary, their screen mask, and their screenshot reader. So again, to set up those profiles, 3 dots, click on settings, and it's the first thing available at the top. So when I go back to default, now I have all the tools available at the top, but my student doesn't need all those tools. They just need these for ELA. So I'm turning everything off. That's going to help them focus on the content and help them focus in class and not play around with all the different tools available. All right, so that's Read and Write inside of their browser. Let's look at some other accessibility features built into your student's Chromebook that they could use even without the Read and Write extension. So we're back on our Olympics article, but this time we're on a Chromebook, which is probably what most of our students use. So let's go ahead down to settings in the system tray in the bottom right hand corner and find that gear in the top of the menu that popped up. And just ignore all this. We're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, hit advanced, and keep scrolling all the way to the bottom. And now let's go ahead and turn on always allow accessibility options in the system menu. And we have our accessibility icon right there to be able to get to them quickly to turn them on and off. So you need to know about that if students start playing and turn those on. And then let's go into the manage accessibility features. So just starting from the top, we've got Chromevox, that's spoken feedback. I've used it before, not a huge fan. It gets a little bit hectic as it follows your mouse around and reads for you. But what we do want to turn on is we want to enable select to speak. So we're going to turn that on, and when we do, we get a little select to speak icon in the bottom right hand corner of your system tray. And that's just to turn it on and off for our students. So it's quick, it's accessible, it's all right there. No extra extensions or anything needed to install. And let's keep going. So we can change contrast and everything else. We're going to stay out of there because most of our students are just going to need the support to be able to speak text in to a document and then have text read to them off of a screen. So we're going to keep rolling down, and I want you to find the option with the header, keyboard, and text input, and we want to enable speak to type. It's going to use the same Google Talk and Type that we used with Read and Write, but with no extensions needed. So if students only need to be able to dictate into their device, there's no need for extra extensions, and it uses the same software and program and code that Read and Write does without the extension. So we're doing it all right inside of Chrome with nothing extra added. When we turn that on, we get a second icon in the bottom. So now we have a microphone that's for us to read into the computer, and a speaker that's for the computer to read back to us. So hop over back to our Olympics article right here, and I'm going to click the select to speak icon. It changes, and now I can drag a purple box around a section of text and have it read to me.
Signing on to host the Olympics is a big investment in both infrastructure and money.
So very similar tool is going to highlight the text as it reads it, and it's going to circle that block of text as it's reading it. So almost identical to what Read and Write offers, but without an extension needed. So if you just need a screen reader, go to Select and Speak and use that. No need for any extra software. The same way when we're in a Google Doc and we just need to get speech to text, we can click our microphone icon in the tray, and then everything we say will begin to appear in the document as we speak, and students can continue to talk using voice to text inside of a Google Doc without the need for any extra softwares or extensions. So it's very secure. It all lives right there on their Chromebook, and something that I'm sure your tech director will approve of. When you're done, click the microphone button again to stop the voice to text conversion. So those are the features built in on your Chromebook. Now you do have that Read and Write extension if that student needs it. So again, anyone with an IEP in the state of Georgia qualifies to get a free premium version of this through the Tools for live program. So if you need help setting that up, please let me know. I'll be happy to work with your special ed director and your director of technology to make sure your students get the software that they need to support them in their learning. So if your students are using iPads, they can go to the App Store and add the Read and Write app to their iPad. Here's how it works. It's going to actually install as a keyboard on their iOS device. So if they are in the Notes app, it works. Google Docs, it works. Anywhere where they can open a keyboard, they're going to have access to all of these tools in Read and Write. So here's how that works. Click on your settings, go to General on the left-hand side, and then begin to scroll down to find Keyboard. At the top, we see Keyboards. Tap that, tap Add New Keyboard, and there's Read and Write in the top. We've now added that keyboard. Now that Read and Write has appeared in the menu, tap it again. Click Allow Full Access. Now your students are set up to use Read and Write on their iPad, same way on their phone. Make sure we hit Allow Full Access so it can help us when we're posting on social media, writing in a Google Doc, anything where there's a keyboard. After you've installed the keyboard, go ahead and launch the Read and Write app. And then walk through the setup wizard. We already did the keyboard, so let's go ahead and register by clicking Sign In. We're going to use our Google account because that's what our other one is tied to. Now we're ready to go. Let's open up a new note. So in the bottom left-hand corner is the globe icon. Let's tap that to change keyboards until we get to the purple Read and Write keyboard. So you'll get predictive text just like you do using your iPhone like normal. All right, so you and I can see there's obviously a problem there. Let's click the three dots. And students now have a spell check built in. So let's go over to our spell check button. And we're going to see the highlighted word on the left and the word that Read and Write thinks is correct on the right. So not there. I'm going to skip that one and go back to my keyboard. Spell check's complete. Let's fix that. So we have those features built in right there. Let's dive into the settings, my favorite part. Click the three dots, and that's going to bring up settings right here for speech. We can choose from what voice type we want, but let's focus on the speed. We can fine tune that for the student so it best fits them. If I turn on continuous reading, it's going to read the text on the page, and I'll be able to pause and stop it and start it just like the regular Read and Write extension. And then I like to turn on speak as I type, and I want it to speak sentences. So every time I end a sentence, it's going to speak that sentence to me, so I get an audible cue to hear if I made any mistakes. I'm going to hit the keyboard icon to get back to the keyboard, and watch what happens when I place a period at the end of the sentence and hit the space bar.
This is the Read and Write extension.
So it's going to read everything back to me.
It is so easy to use.
If I want to hear the whole block of text, I can move the cursor to the top and hit play.
This is the Read and Write extension. It is so easy to use.
Students also have access to a dictionary by highlighting the word, clicking on the three dots to open our options panel, clicking the dictionary right here, and now I get my picture dictionary, I get my word in there, and I see all my definitions, and I can hit the play button.
Orange, noun, a river in South Africa that flows generally westward.
And then I get all the same supports that I get on my Chromebook, but now I can get it on my iPhone or my iPad or my Android phone. This behaves the same way when you text message or post on social media, so now our students can have full support built in for them anytime they have a device with them in their backpack or in their pocket. I'm a big iOS fan already because they already have a lot of accessibility features built in. So we can already use voice typing here by clicking our microphone button. And we can use it right here inside of Read and Write or without Read and Write. The one that's already built into iOS, you're probably familiar with. You've probably dictated a note or a text message to someone. Siri is great at helping us get that text, get that speech that we say into text, period. So now all we do is tap to send it back to notes, and that's how Read and Write handles that. If I turn off my Read and Write keyboard, we can enable dictation and then use the built-in dictation for iOS. So all those supports are built in there, even if you don't have Read and Write. But if we add the Read and Write one, then we can continue to use that support all day long on all of our devices, period. iOS also has a screen reader built in. So we can tap to select. Then all we have to do is tab over to the speak button and tap it.
We can enable dictation and then use the built-in dictation for iOS. So all those supports are built in there, even if you don't have Read and Write. But if we add the Read and Write one, then we can continue to use that support all day long on all of our devices.
So the goal is that all day, every day, students are using Read and Write if they need those supports, regardless of what device they're on and what device they're using. So back over to our guiding document. If you forgot what I was talking about for Select to Speak, I've linked a video in here for you so that then all you've got to do is click on that link, and then you'll be able to watch that little reminder video of how to set up Select and Speak, as well as how to set up our iOS keyboard. So this is going to link you right over to that Read and Write app for your iPhone and for your iPad. All my Android folks, just go to the Google Play Store and search for Read and Write. So here's the big question, Chris, how do I get this for all of my students that need those supports? You're going to head on over to the Georgia Tools for Life page, and then on the right hand side they have an AT Portal guide, and when you open that up, it's going to walk you through with all the links of how to set up an account for your school with your special ed director and be able to claim all those seats that you need to get students the Read and Write software. If I can be of any help to you, please don't hesitate to contact me. My goal is to have every student that's eligible for this to have this support with them, and not only at school, but like I said, also on their devices at home, so it becomes very natural, and then students use it daily in everything they do, not just in the work at school. If you're not already connected with other special education teachers in the state of Georgia, please click on the Join the Community button and sign in, and find other special education teachers just like you. Get in there and share and meet some other people across the state of Georgia that are doing the exact same thing as you. If you made it this far, thank you so much. If I can be of any assistance to you, please, I cannot emphasize it enough. Please contact me, Chris Fuller. I'm over at Pioneer RESA up in Cleveland, Georgia, and let me help you get you and your students the apps that they need to support them to be successful in learning every single day.